Welcome to Capitol Preview, a weekly bipartisan discussion with Iowa legislators about the key issues facing our state. Brought to you by Mediacom.
Welcome to another episode of Capitol Preview. My name is Bill Peard. I'm the Executive Vice President of the Iowa Cable and Telecommunications Association in conjunction with Mediacom, Channel 22, are bringing you this program. Capitol Preview is a program about items that our senators and House people are addressing up at our Capitol. And we're going to have a conversation with Senator Jerry Behn, Republican from Boone, District 24. Senator, thanks for coming here.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on.
We appreciate it.
This is always fun.
You're always interesting.
I've had good conversations with you for a long time.
For a long time.
This is a lot of fun.
Yep, we go back.
We do, way back.
Education.
Yes.
Because I know I know that's sort of a hot button for you. Education.
It is.
It spans so much stuff, so I'm just going to let you jump in.
Topic that's near and dear to my heart. I'm on the Education Committee again this year. I've been on it before. And we just had a presentation from a group called Decoding Dyslexia Iowa, and their job, they say it right on their paper, is to educate, advocate, and legislate. And their goal is to explain to policymakers just exactly what's going on with dyslexia and what they can do to help it. And there's a couple of points about dyslexia I think are incredibly important. First thing they brought up is it's the most common cause of not being able to read in school. And so they said it's up to 20% of the individuals. It's more likely 10 to 15% if you were to take a group. And the interesting thing is there's no relationship between dyslexia and intelligence. Many people are very intelligent that have dyslexia. And yet it can be remediated if you have the appropriate teaching methods. And so one of the first things you got to do is figure out, is that what the situation is? If a child can't read, how do you remediate it? What do you fix it? What are the causes? And so that gets me into the whole topic of reading. And I think anybody that's had a child that's struggled with reading recognizes when the light comes on and they understand reading and they go from, I don't like to read, I don't want to read, to all of a sudden wanting to read, it changes their entire outlook on school. Pretty soon they want to go to school. I mean, it just changes everything. And so I always bring this up because I love sharing this story. My wife, with no teaching experience and a $200 program that she bought from a commercial she saw on TV, taught our 4-year-old daughter to read at the 5th grade level before she got into kindergarten. We had another daughter, and it didn't work quite as good on the second daughter. She could only read at the 3rd grade level before she got into kindergarten. But my point is that method that was utilized there is the same kind of a method that they're talking about for remediating the dyslexic child, because it's a multisensory program, and it was called direct systematic instruction. And that's exactly the kind of thing that these children need. And so I'm very excited about it. And that program we've now utilized for nieces and nephews. We've utilized it with our grandchildren. And our little kindergartner was struggling with reading, had a note come home from the teacher, said she didn't really understand her letters and some of that other stuff. So we broke out the old program. My wife started working with her after school, just 15, 20-minute little things. And after about 2 or 3 weeks, she's starting to read. She got it. The light came on, and the excitement was there. And I'm telling you, Bill, there's hardly anything more rewarding than seeing a child when that light comes on. So I'm really excited about that. I think that's an incredible deal, and I can't thank these people enough that cared about their children enough to come down and lobby their legislators and say, hey, look, we've got some facts about this. And I also got to get a shout out to Deborah Reed that runs that Reading Research Center for Iowa. She does a phenomenal job. And so I'm hoping that these types of programs can get more system-wide within the school systems, and I'm also hoping that the teachers are being taught at the schools, and they're not being taught some of this stuff. And so some of this is new, and so sometimes there's hesitation on the parts of the teachers because they're saying, well, that's not what we were taught when we went to school. And so some of this comes full circle. 30, 40 years ago, they thought the phonics type thing, the sounding out the sounds and all that was important, kind of got away from that. And I think the pendulum is swinging back, and we're going to get back to what I think really can help children to read. So it's a big deal. I'm hoping we can promote that, and I'm hoping we can keep it going. I'm excited about it. I mean, it's a fantastic thing, and I think it can help so many children that I think we just need to hit it head
I'd like
on.
you to, if you would, we were sitting here talking prior to the show starting about you bringing your daughter into your doctor's office.
Oh yeah, the pediatrician.
I mean, it's a great,
it's
a great
the
story
pediatrician,
to kind of
my wife casually mentioned,
drive home your point.
Heather's 4 years old and taking her to the pediatrician for a yearly checkup, and she casually mentions to the doctor that she can read. And the doctor, of course, is like, oh yeah, whatever. See the M for McDonald's, you know what it is. And my wife said, no, she can read. And so the doctor says, well, here, take this magazine, and puts a magazine in front of her and says, can you read this? And she starts reading it to him. And he's like, man, you weren't kidding.
The program works.
She really can read.
Yeah.
Yeah, you weren't just kidding about it.
That's
it's not like just a word or two. She's reading it.
Right.
So I mean,
your point.
And it's real life stuff, and I believe it continues to translate. We have heard before that, oh, by the time you get to second or third grade, it levels off. It really doesn't matter whether they know to read before they get there or not. That's not been our experience. Our experience is it's been beneficial all the way through school. I think it gives them a leg up, and my thought is, let's give every child that leg up. Let's get them all excited about learning. Let's get them all excited.
Right.
Get them excited early, and get that love of reading and get that love of learning. Right there, and that learning is the key that opens the door. It opens the door to everything. So I'm really thrilled about it, and I think we can make headway with that.
The workforce development, I know that's kind of a part of this total package with the education. So I think address some things.
Yeah, I think. Majority Leader Whitfer hit that when we talked at the beginning. You know, he gave his opening speech on opening day, and he said we went. I'm going to use his quote here, but we went from a state that said where are the jobs, to a state that says where are the workers.
Right.
And that's a
pretty
thrilling transition. I mean, that's a big deal, because I've done an unscientific, informal poll, and I laugh at the unscientific thing because it truly is unscientific. But I've been asking young individuals, when you graduate, are you going to stay in Iowa? And I set it up two ways. First thing, I want to get them off by themselves so they don't have peer pressure.
Right.
And the second thing I want is the very first answer that comes to their mind. Okay, so when you graduate, you're going to stay in Iowa. What do you think they say?
That they will. Right?
Well, they hesitate. It takes them about a split second, and they say it depends on if I can get a job.
Oh, okay.
And they don't just mean a part-time job.
Right.
They mean they're talking
career
type opportunities. And so we really have, I think, turned the corner. And if we want to continue to turn that corner, we want to be sure that the job creators can come to the state. We've done that with some of our tax reform. We've done that with some of our regulatory relief. We've made Iowa much more competitive. But now, when those jobs are available, we need to have workers to fill those jobs. And there are a lot of individuals right now that are going off to a four-year college that are not necessarily made out for four-year colleges. There's a lot of them that have skills with their hands. They would be money ahead as far as lost opportunity costs, spending a couple of more years in school with something they don't need. If they could get a career, if they could get a trade, if they could go to DMAC, if they could get diesel mechanic or whatever. And so I'm looking at a bill that would say, if you stay in Iowa and you go off and you go get your two-year degree, you can get a tax credit to help pay for that. But again, you got to stay in Iowa. So it would be one of those Iowa-based credits with an Iowa-based student to keep them in Iowa. And so we're going to explore that. So workforce development is near and dear to my heart. I also think there are a lot of kids that just simply don't know what they want to do, and so they end up going to a four-year college, and they end up either changing majors or taking some classes that they don't need, and it ends up costing more money, taking longer time. And if they'd had a trade in mind, they could have got started a lot sooner and made headway a lot quicker. So I think it would save money. I think it would also take away demand from some of the four-year colleges that I'm going to refer to as our artificial demands. And so they got to build more classrooms, hire more professors, do all that stuff on things that they don't really need to do. So I think it can be a more efficient use of our regent universities, and I think it can help the young individuals when they want to stay in Iowa. I don't think saddling them with debt is a good idea, and particularly if they don't need it. So I think there are options available.
And I love the way you're thinking there. I mean, there's really a third component to this, right? I mean, there's the community college, there's the 2+2 program, which
Correct. The 2+2, that was kind of an innovative concept, and I have to applaud DMAC and all those for putting that together. And so that, again, that gives the opportunity to get those first 2 years into the area of that you're really excited about. You don't have to spend 2 years goofing around, and for some kids, that's what it is.
My son did that, and it was very, very successful. So we were very happy the way he took care of his education, because he got 2 years of community college for the trade, and then 2 years of a 4-year college for the degree and some higher learning.
Right. And I know that's high on the governor's list. She's excited about the idea of workforce development, and I think in one other notch that goes into workforce development is high-speed internet. And that's also an area that we're really trying to do, is get higher speed across the whole state. MediaCom, for example, it's easier in some of the more populated areas. There's a lot more competition. As you get out in the rural communities, it gets tougher and tougher and tougher. And I think as all these things change, that's another area in education that I'm fascinated with, is the idea of this long distance learning. If you'd have told me 20 years ago you're going to have a supercomputer on your hip, I wouldn't have believed it. And I think the future of education can be just as exciting. There's going to be, I think there's going to be virtual classrooms. I think there's going to be ways that you can take classes without having to physically drive to those buildings. And if the high-speed internet is not available, that shuts you out of that opportunity. So I really do think high-speed internet can be a tremendous advantage, particularly more so in the rural communities, because I think a lot of the cities already have it. So I don't think they'll see the dramatic change that the rural communities would. But I think that's a big deal also.
I agree. Taxes. I know you wanted to talk a little bit about the Life Services.
I do. The
organization.
LifeServe has that blood donation services, and an inadvertent byproduct, if you will, of our tax bill last year was the fact that there was a change in the definition of manufacturing. And somehow or another, blood got thrown into the idea that it's being manufactured. And I've talked to the chair, I'm on Ways and Means, I've talked to the chair of Ways and Means. We understand that is a tremendous issue, and it's totally inadvertent. And so we want to get that fixed. And I think that's one of the first bills we'll have coming out of the Senate in the Ways and Means Committee, is to get that fixed, because that was never the intent of the tax bill.
Did you hear from our friends at Life Service?
We sure did. and I'm still hearing from them. And it's hard to relay, so I'm glad we're talking about that now, because I want everybody to know we are aware of it. The fix is coming, and we're hoping to get that done shortly.
Not everything is perfect. I mean, sometimes you have to...
Well, who would have guessed the definition of manufacturing would have included blood?
No.
Come on. So it's just one of those deals that somehow or other...
It fits somewhere.
It fits somewhere, and now we know we got to fix it, and so we're going to fix it, and we're going to move on. So.
We're kind of out of time.
Well, that didn't take very long.
No, it doesn't.
I told you this
We had
would go
some
fast.
pretty interesting subjects to discuss too. So, quickly, if there's anything else you want to
commercial hemp. I've been promoting commercial hemp for a long time. That gives farmers another opportunity. We've got corn and soybeans, are the big crops. If we can get commercial hemp going in this, it just gives another way to diversify. And we're looking at a bill. I think we finally got something we can present, and it was in the federal farm bill. So that's going to help now. So I think we can get that done now, and then I think that'll be an option for farmers. So I'm pretty excited about that too.
Very good. All right, our guest this morning again was Senator Jerry Behn, Republican from Boone, District 24. Sorry.
That's all right.
I appreciate you coming in here this morning. It was. I appreciate you coming in here this morning. It was a very interesting conversation.
Perfect. Thank you,
sir.
So
stay tuned for another episode of Capitol Preview.